Yo, what's up? This Raheem. It's early in the morning. It's about maybe almost 6 o'clock, something like that. Just getting back to the house from the gym, and just a few quick thoughts for you, right? So I know that there are a lot of people who are dealing with stress. You know, stress of life. And sometimes it's very easy to feel defeated, like what am I going to do about my situation? And I know it's in all different it's everywhere, man. It's on every level. Some people are dealing with stress because of finances. Some people are dealing with stress because of health, and it's not all, like health, and that's like a wide field, because sometimes it's medical, it's something that, it's almost out of your control, you know, or sometimes it's health, as in, you got to get your diet under control, start working out, change your lifestyle. Like I know somebody who has some health situations going, and they have to change their diet. And man, some people that are in my position might look at that and go, man, all they got to do is eat right. What's up with that? But man, I always try to remind people that, don't judge anybody. Don't judge people, because the same way is difficult for that person to eat healthy foods and work out and all that. Their challenge is equal to someone else's challenge. Someone else's challenge may be financial. Like somebody who is good with their finances might look at someone who is not good with their finances, go, it's simple, just, live within your means. Stop buying things that you can't afford. Live within your means. If you're going shopping all of the time and, you're not balancing your checkbook, where you're looking to see how much money you make and how much uh, things you have to pay for, and you just live underneath what you make. Yeah, that sounds simple, but that's a challenge for somebody. Everybody has their challenges for one reason or another. But in regards to stress, getting back to that point, just the whole idea of stress, man, there's a simple way to deal with stress. Very simple. Is it easy? It really all depends. Sometimes it just is a matter of what a person has gone through in life, and the decisions that they've made, that makes some actions, thoughts, and beliefs easier than other actions, but it still doesn't change the fact that it's simple. Dealing with stress is, at least in my view, primarily about one thing. People have stress because they forget about the basics of life, the very basics, the very basics. And let me just clarify this too, because as I'm thinking about it, there are people on the planet who have, like real stress. Real stress is when the basics of life does not come easy for you. Like it just doesn't. That's like real stress. So let me say this, right? So here's how simple it is. In life, you need air, preferably clean air. You need food that's nourishing your body. You need shelter, and that's kind of like because you need shelter. But if you really think about it, you can find shelter somewhere. Like, homeless people have learned how to handle that situation, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that purely in a respect kind of way. because I know what it means to be homeless. You know, I know what that means. I've experienced that before, you know, at a very, very young age. It wasn't necessarily the results of you know, my own actions, but I still experienced it nonetheless. But if you've learned how to survive without adequate shelter, that's respect, because some people can't handle that. You know, that's a real situation for some people. But getting back to my point, you need air, food, water. If you have those three things, plus I like to add companionship. And the only reason I say that is because, you know, life is funny. If you don't have somebody in your corner who you can just kind of hang with, talk with, just some kind of companionship, even if it's, you know, over the phone and talking, you know, that kind of thing, you know, you need somebody that you can communicate with, because the human mind and body does weird things when we don't have interaction with something or somebody. It's just, it doesn't work right. It's like babies in the hospital, in the neonatal ward, that in unfortunate situations, meaning that they don't have parents. So people volunteer to come in and just kind of hold the babies and hug them, because as humans, we need that contact with other people. Something about resonance, being able to feel someone else's heartbeat and someone else's affection makes us want to live on, gives us a reason to push forward. So those are like the four basics: air, food, water, companionship. Without those four things, that's real stress, because those are situations that, you know, that's a life or death situation, you know. That's what I consider real stress. But even beyond that, let's just say you did not have those things, right? Life in and of itself is a gift. Just being born. I saw someone had said that the odds of being born is like 400 trillion to 1. It's crazy. So, not to get caught up in that, because really I'm talking about being grateful for what you have. But beyond all of those things, many of us, if we're honest, we have stress because we're trying to compete with someone, or we think that we should be doing something else. And the problem with that is that, yes, maybe we should be doing something else. But in comparisons, in real comparison, if you stop and you just become very grateful for what you already have, being born is enough to say, you know what, 400 trillion to 1, man, them kind of odds, that's some serious odds right there. 400 trillion. It's like difficult to even wrap your mind around that. If you try to count those numbers just in your head, it will be very difficult to even just see those numbers add up. You know, learn how to, if you can figure out a way to be grateful for what you have right now, your stress can be reduced to less than 0. You don't have to compete with anybody. I don't care what it is. If it's your health, if it's getting in shape, if it's a job that you're trying to get, if it's starting your own business, whatever it is, just realize that you have already won. All you have to do is stay so consistent, resolve to never give up, stay so consistent, and be willing to learn. You will figure out how to achieve whatever it is that you want, and all of the stress is gone just like that. There is no stress. If your stress is your health, just know that you're never going to give up. It's the long game. So every single day you do a little bit more to reach your goal. If it's establishing your own business, if it's making $1 million, whatever it is, if you just stay with it, no matter what. Like if you lost every single thing that you got, if you got a house, you lost your house, if you lost your car, if your best friends, whoever you think they are, just backed out on you. If you lost your family members, hopefully not, because that's tough. But if that happened, I mean, there are 7.7 billion people on the face of this planet. There's somebody you can connect with. The chances are you can re-up on any single thing that happens. It doesn't matter what it is, And if you can just put that in your mind and be grateful for the fact that it's all in your favor. It's just a matter of time. Once you resolve it in your mind, when I say resolve it, I mean you completely commit to whatever it is that you want, that you feel is causing you stress because it has not happened. In other words, you want to get in shape, but the stress of getting in shape is bothering you. Just realize that you can breathe. You're here. You have an opportunity. Some people don't have those opportunities, and it doesn't mean that their situation is worse. It just means that you're starting a little bit further along than they are, because everything is relative. Everything is relative, because even not being here is, it always blows my mind. And I know this is going to sound a little bit morbid. I don't mean it to sound that way. But, sometimes people say things like, the fact that you're here, and I know I just said it, the fact that you're here because everybody's not here, that's a touchy point for me, because somebody who is like the most important person to me on the face of this planet is not here anymore. But it does not mean that not being here means being worse off. It doesn't mean that at all, because there is no end. Energy can never be destroyed. It only transforms from one form to another. It's always transforming. And if you are philosophical on some level, I'm very philosophical. I don't like to admit that because I have weird feelings about it. But, philosophically speaking, energy is never destroyed. It's only transformed from one thing to another, meaning there was a point when I was not here and now I'm here, and there will be a point when I am not here. But it doesn't invalidate the fact that I'm here now. So when you put that whole scheme of thought, you put the whole thing in one understanding, you begin to see the ebb and flow of life. The fact that consciousness plays a role in how you feel about being here. Like, I'm consciously here, but if I was not conscious of self, if I was not aware of who I am, then what would life be worth? What would it be? Would it have the same value if I didn't know? If I didn't know that I was here, like I was just oblivious to it. But anyway, that's going off on a tangent. The point that I'm trying to make is that if you're dealing with stress, the easiest way to deal with stress is to become seriously grateful for what you already have. Be grateful for what you already have, even if what you only have is your next breath. There are people, and some of us, we just don't realize, relatively speaking, there are some people who don't have another breath, like they can't breathe on their own. That lets you know. And there, even for people who can't breathe on their own, there are some people who can't even get the opportunity to have a machine breathe for them. Like, they're in a situation where it's just, breathing is difficult, and they can't afford to be in a hospital to be attached to a machine, or they don't live in the right country where they have technology like that. We all have reasons to be grateful, regardless of what your situation is. And if you're feeling stress or you're in a dark place, take time out and think for a second. It could always be worse. This is Raheem. Peace.